A few years back, I started a bullet journal to track my goals. I figured that tracking my self-development journey would make me happier. Seeing another goal checked off each day should have felt good, and it did, for a little while at least. Marking each little dot really felt like I was moving forward, like I had finally cracked the code in optimizing my life. But there was one small problem. I still wasn't happy. We're told that tracking habits and setting goals are the keys to success. And success equals happiness, right? Well, in this video, I want to go over why a productivity mindset made me less happy so you don't have to make the same mistakes that I did. The problem with the bullet journal wasn't wanting to be more disciplined. It was assuming that achieving my goals was somehow going to give me more satisfaction in my life. And it makes sense, right? Self-improvement feels empowering and it reinforces that internal story that you tell yourself. Like, oh, I went to the gym 5 days this week, I must be disciplined. Only missed 4 days this month meditating? Crushed it. These metrics build confidence, but do they build happiness? Seeing each completed dot felt good because it was a visual reminder that I worked on a goal that day. But as time went on, I started to notice something sinister. The blank spaces. The bullet journal quickly turned into a reminder of everything I didn't do. It made me feel like I was falling short of the person that I wanted to be, even when I was doing fine. Soren Johnson, lead designer behind the very popular Civilization 4, once said, "Given the opportunity, players will optimize the fun out of a game." And I can't help but to compare that quote to my bullet journal. I had this notion that if I stayed on top of my goals, I would have more control in my life. Like I was building something and this progress would make me happy. But instead of finding happiness in growth, it started to become a proof of my self-worth. I became so dependent on seeing a habit checked off that if I didn't check it off that day, it felt like a failure. Instead of feeling like I was moving forward, I felt like I was falling behind. And that was a far cry away from finding happiness. Where did we get this idea of optimizing our life for happiness? Well, one reason could be that humans are wired for pattern recognition. Our ancestors saw dark clouds and took shelter. They learned what plants were making them sick. When you're safe and healthy, you tend to also be happier. It's a mental tool that's helped us survive this long. But the evolution of our brains have not kept pace with human progress. Now our brains tell us that tracking all this data about ourselves will help reinforce this story of how productive and disciplined we are. We identify patterns to help shape our identity. While noticing a pattern of success might build confidence, what happens when you notice a pattern of failure? Instead of using my brain's pattern recognition to understand how much progress I've made, I ended up only noticing the blank spaces. Another reason could be productivity culture in general. It is easy to equate the output of our work with our self-worth. Is it because of capitalism? Maybe, at least in part. Because capitalism values those who grind their way to the top, it also discourages the opposite. Things like rest or play or free time. These things can feel like laziness instead of just being vital parts of our lives. If I'm not doing something, I'm wasting time. Maybe something that you've thought before. Your identity starts becoming tied to your performance. Instead of asking yourself, am I enjoying this? You might ask instead, did I do enough today? Being productive is not bad, but when you start tying your self-worth with how productive you are, you might be going a step too far. So in order to push back against this toxic productivity mindset, I needed to define my why. My bullet journal was meant for me to track my goals so I could tame thoughts like, you're wasting time, and for me to be more honest about my personal progress. I did start with the why in mind, but over time I lost sight of it. Losing focus on my why led me down a path of shame of my failures instead of pride in my accomplishments. In order to keep the why top of mind, I kept asking myself, why am I doing this? What outcomes am I hoping to achieve? This helped give clarity in those moments when I was feeling down about feeling like I wasn't productive enough that day. Another way that I found balance between productivity and happiness is by having regular check-ins with myself. I would frequently revisit my why statement, or by simply asking myself, is this productivity system making me happier? Being mindful of what role productivity played in my life helped to keep me on the right path. And finally, I scheduled fun in a similar way that one might schedule work. It can definitely be easy to get wrapped up in a project and not give yourself time for leisure. I mean, work can bring meaning to your life. It can make you feel accomplished, or it can make you feel fulfilled. But there is more to life than just work. Dinner with friends, watching a movie, going on a hike. Life is full of things to experience, and I just don't want work to get in the way of that. Optimizing your life for happiness is kind of a contradiction because you can't create a system to make you happier. You can't control happiness in the same way that you can control work. Happiness requires effort, for sure, but it's not something that you can just brute force. You can't schedule joy in the same way that you can't schedule a meeting. Now, I'm not suggesting that you should throw out your habit tracking system, but I do think that it is worth asking, are these systems serving my well-being, or am I just chasing positive metrics in the pursuit of happiness? Honestly, I'm still in the process of telling myself that a happy life isn't about goals and checkboxes. I personally find way more happiness and life satisfaction when I disconnect my productivity from my self-worth, which may sound obvious, but sometimes things like this aren't obvious unless you've thought about it and you're mindful about it. I'm sometimes an inefficient person, and that's okay. What if focusing on optimizing our lives so much means that we kind of forget to live them? That's all I got for you today. Until next time, thanks for watching.